She waited until I left for work. Asterisk middle of the day, sun baking down on my driveway. And she came creeping over in her pastel golf cart like some kind of villain in a Sunday dress. Asterisk, I got the call from my daughter at exactly 2:11 p.m. Asterisk, Dad. The fish are floating. I slammed on the brakes. What do you mean floating? Asterisk, they're all dead. Asterisk, she was crying. I could hear the panic in her voice. We'd raised those koi fish together in the backyard pond, my daughter named each. One, Biscuit, Sparkle, Bubbles. They were her whole world after her mom passed. Asterisk, I turned the truck around so fast I nearly clipped a mailbox. Asterisk, when I got home, there was a notice taped to my fence. A big red sticker stamped HOA violation, unauthorized aquatic features. Asterisk, I don't even live in an HOA. Asterisk, I looked up, and there she was. Karen, standing across the street with her arms folded like she ran the entire county. Asterisk, I warned you. She said, you can't have that swamp in our neighborhood. Asterisk, I walked past her, straight to the pond. The water was cloudy. Every fish gone. Not one swimming. That's when I smelled it. Bleach. Asterisk, you poured chemicals in here. I said, barely able to breathe. Asterisk, Karen didn't flinch. The HOA has rules. Asterisk, I clenched my fists. This isn't a HOA property. This is my land. Asterisk, she smiled. Not for long. Asterisk, that's when I knew. This wasn't about fish. This was about something way bigger. I didn't sleep that night. My daughter kept waking up, asking if the fish were just sleeping, if we could bring them back somehow. I told her no. But deep down, I wasn't just sad, I was angry. Asterisk, by morning, I was at City Hall. No HOA records. No official notices filed. Asterisk, the so-called violation wasn't even real. Karen had printed the sticker herself, probably from her dusty little inkjet. Asterisk, I walked back to my truck, gripping the folder of city documents when my phone buzzed. Ring camera alert. Live view opened, and I froze. Corinne was in my backyard. Again, asterisk this time with a tape measure. She was poking around the pond, scribbling something on a clipboard. I rushed home, but she was already gone by the time I pulled in. A new paper was stuck to my door, greater than, you are in violation of Article 12, unauthorized structures within community bounds. You have 48 hours to dismantle the pond or face legal action. Asterisk signed by Karen, asterisk, no title, no HOA logo. Just her shaky handwriting trying to look official. Asterisk, that night, I checked the footage again. Every frame. She wasn't alone. A man in a sheriff's jacket was with her. Asterisk, only problem. The sheriff's office confirmed. They don't know him. He wasn't a cop. That's when it hit me. She's faking notices, trespassing, bringing fake law enforcement onto my property. Asterisk. This wasn't just some neighbor feud anymore. Asterisk. This was a crime, and I knew exactly what I had to do next. Went quiet for a few days. Asterisk. Not because I was scared, but because I was watching. Asterisk. I mounted 2 extra cameras. One in the old birdhouse and another under the deck facing the yard. Corinne didn't notice. On the 4th day, she came back. Same routine. Golf cart, fake badge in her hand. Same guy pretending to be law enforcement. Only this time, he had a clipboard and handcuffs on his belt. She pointed at the cameras. He looked right into one and said, this pond's gotta go. Orders from the HOA board. I nearly laughed out loud in my living room because there is no board. Asterisk, and even if there was, you can't show up with plastic cuffs and a clipboard from Staples and think you're official. Asterisk, I had everything on tape. Clear audio, faces, threats, but I wasn't done yet. I dug deeper. Asterisk, turns out Karen used to be part of a dissolved HOA committee 10 years ago, long before I moved in. She'd been telling new homeowners it was still active collecting fake dues, handing out fines, and bullying anyone who questioned her. Asterisk, she even ran a fake HO, a Facebook group with herself listed as president. Asterisk, I printed everything, binders full of it. And then I made one more call, not to the local cops, to the district attorney's office. Asterisk, next morning, 2 black government SUVs pulled up in front of her house. Asterisk, Karen came out smiling like she was about to get an award. Asterisk, but when the agents started pulling files and asking about unauthorized impersonation of law enforcement and financial fraud under false pretense, the smile dropped like a rock. Asterisk, still ... She didn't get arrested that day. Asterisk, because people like Karen don't go down easy, and I knew she still had one move left. 3 nights later, around 11:30 p.m., my motion lights flicked on. I checked the monitors. Karen was back, aloneness. Time, dressed in black. Hood up, holding something. I zoomed in, a red gas can. My chest tightened. She walked straight to the pond, crouched down, and started pouring. Asterisk, I grabbed my phone and hit record on every angle. Called 911, ran out the door before dispatch even answered. Asterisk, by the time I reached the yard, she was standing there frozen in the middle of my lawn like a raccoon caught in a spotlight. I was just trying to help. She stuttered. With gasoline? I said. Asterisk, she tried to backpedal. I thought I saw bugs. West Nile ... It's a danger to the neighborhood. Asterisk, you're trespassing. Again, and you just committed arson on camera. Asterisk, her eyes darted around, looking for that fake cop. But he wasn't coming this time. Asterisk, blue lights lit up the street. Real ones. Asterisk, 2 patrol cars. Sirens quiet but deadly serious. Asterisk, the officers stepped out fast. I didn't have to say a word, I just pointed to the footage. Still rolling on my phone. They didn't hesitate. Karen was cuffed on my front lawn while yelling, I am the HOA. I protect this street. Asterisk, one of the officers shook his head and said, ma'am, there's no HOA here. You've been impersonating law enforcement and committing fraud. You're done. She screamed all the way into the back of the cruiser, and for the first time in months, my yard was quiet, but the fallout wasn't over yet, because the man in the fake sheriff's jacket, he wasn't just some friend. He had ties to something bigger. Asterisk, something that would pull in state investigators. Real feds, and a twist I never saw coming. Asterisk, 2 days after Karen's arrest. A man in a gray suit knocked on my door. He wasn't local, didn't smile, didn't show a badge, just handed me a card that said Department of State Licensing, Special Investigations, Unit. He stepped inside and looked straight at me. Mr. Hawley, we believe the man impersonating a sheriff on your property may be tied to an underground property seizure scheme. Asterisk, I stared at him. Come again. He laid out the whole thing. Turns out, the man Karen brought with her, real name Dean Lockhart, used to work in county records. He'd been fired for falsifying property documents. Now he was part of a group targeting vulnerable neighborhoods, fabricating HOA rules, and forcing people to sell or abandon their homes. Asterisk, they'd pick places with unclear HOA status, invent bylaws, and push until someone either gave up or retaliated. Asterisk, Karen was their bait, the friendly face. The neighborhood watch gone rogue. Asterisk, she was supposed to push just hard enough to make you leave, the agent said. But she took it too far. I felt cold. Wait, so this wasn't just about my pond? Asterisk, he nodded. It was about your land. Asterisk, my lot bordered a growing development project. And if I sold or if I was forced out, they could legally buy it for dirt cheap through a loophole they'd been exploiting. Asterisk. But here's the kicker. Asterisk. They almost pulled it off. Asterisk. Your property was scheduled for auction next month. He. Sad. Filed under HOA foreclosure. All fake, but it almost got through. Asterisk. I stood there in shock. My hands shaking. Asterisk. I could have lost everything. I whispered. He looked at me with the kind of face that doesn't lie. You still might, unless we move fast. That night, I dug out every document I ever signed, and that's when I found something they missed. Asterisk. One old wrinkled paper buried in a box. Signed by my late wife. That paper was about to change everything. It was a single-page document. Asterisk. Not fancy. Just black ink on old cream paper. Asterisk. Grant of land ownership. Joint survivorship clause. Asterisk. Signed by my wife when we first bought the property. Back when we were still scraping every penny to build this place. Asterisk. It clearly stated, in the event of my death, sole ownership transfers to my husband, Thomas Hawley, with full immunity from third-party private ordinances, associations, or liens. Not established in writing prior to purchase. I stared at the words like they were glowing. Immunity. Asterisk. No HOA. Fake or real, could ever touch this land. Asterisk. And Corinne. She didn't just mess with a pond. She tried to steal federally protected property. The next morning, I walked into the county recorder's office and laid the paper down in front of the clerk. Her eyes widened. Asterisk. This ... This overrides everything. They filed, she said, flipping through digital records. Your title's locked. It can't be auctioned now. In fact, this document predates any zoning changes in the area. Asterisk. She looked up at me. They have no legal claim to anything. Here, I exhaled for the first time in weeks, but I wasn't done. Asterisk. I handed copies to the state investigator. I sent one to the DA, and I mailed one certified to Corinne's attorney, who'd suddenly gone very, very quiet. Asterisk. 3 days later, the story broke on local news. Asterisk. Fake HOA president and former county employee charged in property scam ring. Asterisk. Photos of Corinne in court. Dean Lockhart in handcuffs. Over a dozen homeowners came forward after seeing the report. They'd all been targeted too. Some had already sold. Some lost thousands, but not me, because of one old paper. Asterisk. Because my wife had protected this place in a way even I didn't fully understand. Asterisk. And now it was my turn to protect it with everything I had. Asterisk. But the twist. Asterisk. The land they were after wasn't just mine. Asterisk. It held something else. Something even the government didn't know about yet, and Karen had accidentally triggered it. I thought it was over. Corinne was facing charges. Dean was in custody. The fake HOO had collapsed like a cheap lawn chair, but then I got a call. Not from a cop or a lawyer, but from a man with a government email address I didn't recognize. Asked one question, "Do you know what's under your property, Mr. Howley?" I paused. I mean, I know we've got some old drainage lines, maybe a few. No, not water. Not utilities, something else. He wouldn't say more on the phone. The next morning, 2 black Suburbans pulled into my driveway again, but this time they weren't here for arrests. They had geological maps. Historical surveys. Turns out, part of my backyard, specifically the section where the koi pond sat, was sitting on top of an unrecorded tunnel system from the 1950s, built during the Cold War, meant to store emergency government supplies and evacuate key officials from local offices. It was sealed off, buried, and forgotten. Until Corinne poured bleach into that pond. That chemical spill, it leaked down. Sensors picked it up. And now the government was involved, really involved. One of the agents stood in my yard, shaking his head. "You don't even know what kind of storm you just stopped?" I looked at the spot where the fish used to swim. What started as a petty HOO scam had turned into a full-blown federal investigation. Corinne had unintentionally exposed something buried for decades, and now they were offering me a deal. Keep quiet. Allow limited access to the underground site. In return, full immunity, a cash settlement, and permanent federal protection over my land, meaning no one, HOA or not, could ever touch it again, I thought. Of my daughter, of our home, of the koi fish she cried over, and I smiled. I've got one condition, I said. What's that? I want the pond rebuilt, bigger, better, and government funded. The agent didn't even blink. Done. But something still didn't sit right, Dot, because as they walked away, one of them said under his breath, "It's not just tunnels under there." They came back at midnight. Asterisk, 4 unmarked trucks. No headlights, no sirens. Just quiet boots on gravel and a portable drill rig that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi movie. Asterisk, they didn't knock. They didn't need to. I watched from my porch in silence as they lowered equipment down the access shaft right through the hole beneath where the pond used to be. My daughter slept upstairs, unaware the yard she played in was now classified territory. Asterisk, the lead agent finally walked over to me around 3 a.m., face pale, voice lower than before. Asterisk, you were right to fight them, he said. This land wasn't just yours. It was meant to be protected. Asterisk, I stared at him. What did you find down there? He hesitated. We don't know yet. But whatever it is, it wasn't supposed to be found. Asterisk, he handed me a folder. Inside was a signed document, a non-disclosure agreement, a $750,000 settlement for government easement rights, and a formal statement declaring my property free from any private, public, or corporate control for life. Asterisk, I was legally untouchable. Now, asterisk, Corinne. She was facing 20 years minimum. Fraud, impersonation, attempted arson, conspiracy to seize land under false authority, and as of last week, interference with federal operations. Asterisk, Dean Lockhart flipped. He gave up everything. Corinne's playbook, the scam network, the buyers waiting in the shadows for land like mine. People in suits, developers, some with political connections. Asterisk, they'd all underestimated one thing. A single dad with a pond full of fish. The pond is rebuilt now twice as big, with reinforced liners and a motion-triggered light show my daughter. Help design. She named the new koi Justice, Freedom, and Corinne's Regret. The story hit national news. People still drive by to take pictures of the HOA killer pond, as they call it online. But I just smile, because in the end, it wasn't about revenge. It was about keeping what was ours, this land, this home, this peace. Asterisk, and when people ask me what I'd say to Corinne now, asterisk, I just point at the no trespassing sign, newly installed, government issued, and say, asterisk, I didn't fight for this land, just to be told I can't raise fish in my own backyard. End. Asterisk.